morning kanyo diha. I hope your day is great. In this video, we'll discuss about globalizations with the topic of impact of globalizations to the people. For the following agenda, we'll discuss about what is the globalizations, history of globalizations, third is the impact of globalizations, fourth is the globalization in the Philippines, and fifth is the advantages and disadvantages of globalizations. So what is globalizations? It is a process by which business or other organization develop international influence. It represents the global integrations of international trade, investment, information, technologies, and culture. Globalizations works through the following. International business is the process by which business or other organization develop international influence. This can be represented by the global integration of international trade, investment, information, technologies, and cultures. The world economies are now more integrated than ever before. The increase of mobility of people and goods means that companies need to consider how their products or services will be received in different countries. They also need to understand how they can work with other countries as well as local companies if they want to have a lasting impact on their company. So, for example, Apple is a company, began its operation in Ireland because it was cheaper than developing its own manufacturing plants elsewhere around the globe. Thus mentioned are that's how globalization works in the world. The brief history of the globalizations. Based on the research, the first or the famous routes is the Silk Road and ancient trade routes in a human history. The network of trade routes across China, Central Asia, and Mediterranean was first established between 50 BCE and 250 CE. But some scholars, they believe or found informations that it happens between 15th century AD and 13th to 14th century AD. The next famous trade routes in history or our ancient era is it happened to Islamic merchants. The main focus of Islamic trade in those Middle Ages were spices. Unlike such, spices were traded mainly by sea since ancient times. This happens on between 17th to 15th century and is also known as the spice routes. The next era is what we call Age of Discovery on 15th to 18th century. It was in this era from the end of the 15th century onwards that European explorers connected from east and west and accidentally discovered the Americas, aided by the discoveries of the so-called as scientific revolution. The age of discovery rocked the world. The most famous discovery is the Act of America by Columbus, which all about ended pre-Columbian civilizations. On 19th century to 1914, first wave of globalizations are known as First Industrial Revolution, which roughly occurred over the century ending in 1914. By the end of the 18th century, Great Britain had started to dominate the world, both geographically through the establishment of the British Empire and technological with innovation like the steam engine, the industrial weaving machine, and more. So, there's a link in below. So, if you want to read more about the brief history of globalization, it will given under this description. Here you can see the world wars first, the second, third wave of globalization on the World War II, and finally in the present days the globalization of the fourth. So that's it. There are a lot of happening about our globalization. So we go to the next slide. So in the next slide, we're globalizations of the Philippines. So the Philippines is a country in the Southeast Asia has been facing economic challenges for years. The number of people living below the poverty line has been steadily increasing, and this has led to shortage of jobs in the country. The country economy is also being threatened by the impact of climate change, with rising sea levels and unpredictable weather patterns threatening coastal communities and agriculture. So, globalization of the Philippines, in addition to these environment challenges, there are economic as well as low wages and high unemployment rates, have left many Filipinos struggling to find work. This is especially true for women and young people who have less access to education and experience working outside their homes than older generations. So, globalization of the Philippines, fortunate through the year of globalization has been born to the Philippines. First, globalization has brought a new economic opportunities for the Philippines. Globalization has also helped mitigate some of the social challenges that are resulting from rapid development in the country through technology. So what are the advantages of globalization? First, globalization is a very powerful concept. Uh, it can share ideas, products, and services with one another. Also, globalization has allowed us to connect with each other in ways that would have been impossible just a few decades ago. For example, social communication technology today. So next is globalization offers employment opportunities that is helpful for everyone. So, for example, call centers, online jobs, what we call freelancing are example of the way of job that been rolled around the globalization world. So many people are concerned about globalization because they fear it will lead to loss of national identity or identity within their own country. However, this is not true. On the count on the contrary, globalization will enable us to connect more deeply with each other as an individual and help us appreciate our similarities more clearly. So we discussed the advantages of globalizations. We'll go now in the disadvantages of globalizations. The first problem is that globalizations often result in job loss, which can lead to economic hardship and even poverty. Next is globalization also causes many people to migrate from their home country because they have no jobs or they can't afford to live there anymore. Also, globalizations in the second globalization has increased income inequality across the globe. This means that some people have more money than others, which can lead to crime or poverty among those who are less fortunate. Third, globalization has contributed to climate change, a rise in air pollution from cars and other forms of transportation. Also, increase in level of noise populations from factories and were built near cities. So there sample leader of the Philippine having an advocacy in line of globalization. Senator Lauren B. Legarda, the President pro tempore of the Senate of Philippines since 2022. His dedicated has worked to serve the Filipino people. Also, Lauren has authored and sponsored landmark laws such as Expanded Senior Citizen Act of 2010, Republic Act 994, the Barangay Kabuhayan Act or Republic Act 9509, the Magna Carta of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise or Republic 9501, the Agra Reform Credit Act or Republic 10000, and the Anti-Violence Against Women and Children or Republic Act 9262. So, Ma'am Senator Lauren B. Legarda is a kind of leaders who also concerned about globalizations. Uh, so, there are some advocates of globalizations. As you can see on the screen, economists tend to be advocates of globalization. The benefit of specialization and exchange are evident within a country borders. No one would seriously suggest that invading the flows of goods, labor, and capital within a country would raise national welfare. So there are the following advocate of globalization. It enhances competition, allows capital to flow to poor areas, promotes efficiency and enhances national productivity, Economic convergence. World's poorer countries will eventually catch up. Rising tide left all boats, and even sweatshop are a good thing to provide jobs to those who otherwise would not. So the conclusion of this video, globalization has affected the world in many ways. Some people think that globalization is a positive thing and it brings us together, while others think that is negative thing and it makes people isolated and detached from each other. One thing for sure, the world that we're living right now requires survival. We need to be able to communicate with each other, and we need to work together to protect our environment to make sure humanity will survive and other life forms. Because all living creatures, including us human, are connected to each other. So thank you for this star references. So I will put this into the description so you can check also. Thank you guys for having your time. I hope it will help to you, to your study. So thank you. Have a great day. God bless.